2017, he makes a statement in Georgetown University. And you've probably seen the footage where he comes out and he says, this present administration will experience a surprise pandemic.
We are now a few days away from a new administration. There is no question that there will be a challenge, the coming administration, in the arena of infectious diseases, but also there will be a surprise outbreak.
Now, I don't know about your crystal ball, but my crystal ball doesn't work that accurately. So how did he know in 2017 that there was going to be a pandemic? So these are the things that I see. Now, you asked me, do I know him? I don't know him. Then you asked me, when we started, do I have any knowledge of anybody that works with him? I have a friend, a very good friend, that actually was in the NIH for 22 years, Dr. Judy Mickowitz. In fact, we released the first video yesterday, first of four. Dr. Mickowitz spent time at the National Institute of Health. She was doing the gain of function. Remember, gain of function is to make something more virulent, make it more damaging, make it more destructive, make it more resistant. So she was involved with the research on gain of function for Ebola. All right. And she's done many other things with cancer and chronic fatigue and certain other types of processes. When she realized that some of this research that she was involved in was actually causing the vaccines that were being derived from the research she was doing, was actually causing autism, was actually causing cancer, the stuff that people label as conspiratorial, right? This is a 22-year veteran at the National Institute of Health doing research. When she said she was going to come out as a whistleblower, she was threatened. Her career was threatened. Her life was threatened. And she, to her credit, did not back off. And they framed her and they sent her to jail.
It was intended to appear as if I took confidential material, names, and intellectual property from the laboratory. And I could prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that I didn't. Heads of our entire HHS colluded and destroyed my reputation, and the Department of Justice and the FBI sat on it and kept that case under seal, which means you can't say there's a case or your lawyers are held in contempt of court, so you can't even get a lawyer to defend you. So every single due process right was taken away from me, and to this day remains the same. I have no constitutional freedoms or rights.
The biggest misunderstandings of science that is causing one of the bigger problems. And this misunderstanding is this, the idea of vaccination. I say, what's the idea of vaccination? Well, I'm going to inject into you some foreign stuff and your immune system is now going to create a response and have a memory to fight that foreign thing. I say, how'd you put that vaccine? I said, well, I used a needle and I injected it in there. I said, you have just bypassed one of the most intelligent organisms in the entire planet, not us, our body. There's more intelligence in our cells than we have because our cells can do things that we can't even manifest in our technological world. I go, here's one of the biggest problems that I want to address, and I need people to understand it, and that is this. We already have a very functional mechanism for vaccination. Before doctors were here, people have been vaccinated for years before medicine. What do you mean vaccinated? And here's the point. There's a total misunderstanding of what is a tonsil. If you read the conventional book, a tonsil is protection. I said, protection from what? Well, all the openings in the head, mouth, nose, ears, eyes, all connect to the throat. So anything that can come in from the outside environment has to pass through the throat, and that's where the tonsils are. I said, yeah, they're there for protection, says the book. I said, wait a minute. The throat has the thickest lining of the entire digestive tract. It's thick as skin. I say, why is it relevant? If there was ever going to be an infection in the digestive tract, the last place in the entire world that would occur would be in the throat.
It's not that any of us are against vaccination, just that the knowledge of the past 50 years and more says that every time we have a pandemic, it's driven by this inappropriate vaccination, which drives this cytokine storm. So there isn't anything, none of our vaccination programs have worked, and because of the way we have either attenuated the antigen, which means make it weaker. Originally in the polio vaccine, and this is in chapter 5 of our first book, Plague, the original cases of autism in the United States and the first outbreak of myalgic encephalomyelitis called chronic fatigue syndrome, which is In fact, that sickness behavior that Bruce was describing spun out of control. Light sensitive, sound sensitive, everything's on fire and pain. Every alarm system is going off, and we have no dimmer switch. We have no brake. We can't turn it off. And it's a horrible disease that is said to be psychosomatic. You're just crazy. You're not sick. When every alarm constantly goes off in your head and you're in total anxiety and you can't control those thoughts, that's because what was injected or what's being reactivated is controlling your thoughts with you. And that's the abnormal expression of all of these viruses. The immune evolution has been completely disrupted by the injection.
In terms of vaccination, there's a fellow over there, my son, Jamie. He's a massive, strapping 20-odd-year-old, and he has never had a vaccine, never ever vaccinated, and he and my grandchildren have never been vaccinated, right? They've been going to school with extraordinary records of attendance without illness, while all their vaccinated mates have a much lower attendance record because they're off through illness. And I say this, when people say, well, if you let your child go to school unvaccinated, what about my children that have been vaccinated? And you go, well, hold on, they've been vaccinated, haven't they? So they're all right, are they? Well, no. Well, exactly. Why do people, kids in epidemics, why do vaccinated kids get what they've been vaccinated against, and non-vaccinated people don't get it? Because it's nothing to do. You know what non-vaccinated people have? They have an immune system on fire because it's been allowed to develop as it should. What you've got, look at it. You've got this absolute tidal wave of toxicity being systematically injected into a still emerging immune system, still developing immune systems. They're never going to be the same as they could be ever again, because there are a number of people who worked in the vaccine industry, doctors, etc., who've come out, whistleblowers they call them, and said actually vaccines are not protecting people from disease, they're giving people disease. And it's a complete con. I mean, where is this coming from? It's coming from the pharmaceutical industry, one of the most corrupt and disreputable and disgusting and evil cartels on the planet. I mean, it even gives the biotech industry a run for its money, and that's saying something. So this is where this is coming from. And even if it's beyond this, but even if you take just finance, does the pharmaceutical industry make money from people being well or people being sick? Their worst nightmare is a healthy world.
So this is where we all owe it to ourselves to do due diligence. Audience, you know yourself better than anyone else. You know if you've cared for your body over the years. If you haven't, this is an invitation. You've got some time now because we're on a lockdown. This is an invitation maybe to be a little more aware of the nutrition. What is it you're putting into your body? Is it the best that you have? Is it live food or is it processed food? Movement is medicine. The opportunity to do some kind of movement every day, whether it's indoors, yoga, floor exercises, outdoors, walking, running, whatever it is. All of these things contribute to a strong and healthy immune response. So you're right, Brian, they are fast-tracking the vaccines as well as the medications, and they're doing it from a number of different perspectives in terms of how these things are going to work. But my personal belief, is that if we honor our bodies, we don't need those external support systems